Okay. Hey, Gary, I guess they all come around at some point. Bank of America, so they're pointing to free cash flow. They say will rival Apple. I mean, I think that was we kind of knew that, the kind of cash they're bringing in, but the bandwagon's starting to fill up. And what I want to ask you is, when you get into something mostly before the street, and if the bandwagon starts to fill up, do you sell automatically? Do you lighten up? What do you do?
You watch the stock. Look, the generational opportunity on this stock is a couple of years ago at least. I would say the horse is out of the barn and the train has left the station already. The good news is the stock is breaking out of a 4-month range today. This is the third time in a year. And typically when this stock moves out of range, it puts more points on the scoreboard. So a good day for it. My big worry this second is you got the NASDAQ up today while the advanced declines on the NASDAQ are almost 3-to-1 negative. So it feels like the market's starting to go back to mega cap. You're seeing it in some other names in mega cap land here. And we don't want to see too many names where we have these big divergences with bad advanced declines and just a few stocks going up.
It was interesting, though, even last week, though, Nvidia was up and almost all the semis were down for the week. But I do want to pick up on what you're talking about in terms of breaking these multi-month ranges, right? Because you mentioned some in your note, including Apple, Broadcom, and of course Nvidia. When they break out like that, Apple last week had some good news coming out of China. Is that a buy opportunity? Is that a buy signal for you?
Yeah, when breakouts are working and more show up, you go after it. It's because they get rid of all the supply of stock. Everybody's in profits, everybody's happy, and they'll tend to hold on. Plus, you have to understand something good is usually going on with that stock on earnings and sales. I must tell you, Apple is close to breaking out. I think it's about 14, 15 weeks. And all I read is China's slowing, China's fast, China's slowing. I'm getting different, news items from it. But if the stock breaks out, it should be owned. Again, more points to be put out.
When you think of technology, you think of Nvidia, the biggest tech company. Of course, it is expanding into other areas of the business as well, but on any given day, we are looking at the largest company in America, and we want to see how the earnings are going to come out. These are expected to come out somewhere between November 13 and November 20. If you visit different websites, you see different dates. Blackwell will be crucial in determining how many chips will be shipped out, what the corporation considers to be the backlog, and where it goes from there until the tech sector reaches a peak. You have to assume that the market-driven tech sector simply keeps rising. Though it doesn't yield results right now, AI is a game changer. If you look at Meta, you can see what technology is capable of in the long run. Nvidia's stock is still cheap, according to a BofA analyst. It's no secret that a computer gaming chip manufacturer become a wonderkind in artificial intelligence. Although Nvidia has had an incredible year, investors' fund might not be over yet. Vivek Arya, an analyst at Bank of America, stated that the revenue monetization potential is far larger than investors realize. At this stage, they truly are a system integrator. Arya continued, complete racks with all of the memory, networking, compute, and optical resources included are being sold. With his most recent call on Nvidia, the leading semiconductor expert recently caused some market agitation. Citing the anticipated high demand for its new Blackwell chip, he raised his earnings per share projections for 2024 and 2025. According to Arya, demand for Nvidia's previous AI chip, Hopper, is still high. According to Arya, Nvidia's stock is still inexpensive given this, trading at a forward price-to-earnings multiple of 37 times. The stock is inexpensive on a price-to-cash flow metric as well, according to Arya, as the corporation is expected to generate an astounding $200 billion in free cash flow over the next 2 years. According to Arya, Nvidia's stock has at least 40% further upside. With an 18% increase in October, shares are already up 190% for the year and close to all-time highs. Due to investor disappointment with the performance specifications of the company's AI chip, which were disclosed a few weeks ago, rival AMD's stock is only up 5% year to date. If you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market latest news, you can subscribe to our investing tutorial channel as we post daily updates about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market. So click the subscribe button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now back to today's video.
Of movers today. Nvidia hitting all-time highs while the 10-year Treasury yield bounces back above 4.1%. Let's get to Mike Santoli for a closer look at that tug of war in the market. Mike.
Yeah, John, Nvidia, I mean, it really did support the indexes from losses beyond what we did get. The S&P 500 obviously really had a minimum move down. Would have been twice as big a drop if not for this move in Nvidia today. You see here up 4%. And what's more significant is this potential breakout of a 4-month range. Back in June, the intraday high was around 141. We did break above that today. Now, obviously, false breakouts are a thing that do happen, but it's not necessarily something you'd want to bet on. Usually, it's pretty powerful if a high-velocity stock like this finally breaks free after this period of time. Obviously, we have earnings, but for Nvidia, not for about a month. I put the 50-day moving average in here, too, because it does show that sort of shorter-term trend has curled higher. So this is at least a bit of support or maybe a little bit of a beacon for the bulls to keep watching as you see if the market can add to these gains.
Mike, what catches my eye about this Nvidia move today is a lot of semiconductor names were up as well, but it was up more than those. And then a couple of momentum names were higher. A lot of them were lower. And it was up maybe along with those momentum names as well. It seems to be performing like a semiconductor stock, but better, and also like a momentum name, but bigger.
100%. I think it's really somewhat disengaged from the rest of the group. I've pointed out many times, if you look at just the average semiconductor, the XSD, the equal weighted semi index, it looks nothing like the Nvidia chart. It really is a little bit of its own species within the market. And you're right, in terms of once you get those kind of speculative juices running, or at least just some high momentum kind of appetites in the market, it's going to find its way into those parts of the market. I'm not saying that somehow makes it dangerous, but it's something that shows you that it's not just moving because the entire group has caught a bid because people are bringing earnings estimates up.
Nvidia, the leader in AI chips, has recently experienced some upheaval. However, that didn't stop the stock from reaching a record high before reversing course on Wednesday. Will the stock, however, be able to replicate its stellar 2023 performance or even its robust year-to-date gains? Investors are now wondering if Nvidia is still worth purchasing. According to Market Surge Analysis, shares are close to a purchase price of $140.76, even though they are trading somewhat lower. Analysts, meanwhile, are optimistic. Bank of America analysts maintained a buy rating on Nvidia late Thursday, increasing their price target from 165 to 190. Jensen Huang, the company's CEO, announced on Wednesday that a design defect in its next-generation Blackwell processor had been resolved. Yields were low earlier, but Taiwan Semiconductor, a manufacturer of AI chips, helped overcome this issue and resume Blackwell production at an amazing location. Additionally, Morgan Stanley analysts said earlier this month that 2 obstacles in the fabrication of Blackwell chips had been overcome. Because a substrate and memory were lost in the first version, the yield was low. So how does the stock compare to the thousands of other equities that are listed on the stock exchange? With an ideal EPS rating of 99 and a composite rating of 99, Nvidia's stock is still outperforming the market. The stock is included in the IBD 50 growth list and model portfolios. However, funds have recently been hesitant to purchase the shares. On a scale of A+ to E, the accumulation/distribution rating, which accounts for fund acquisitions for the previous 13 weeks, is just D+. All 7 of the Magnificent 7 leaders are on their way to earnings in the meanwhile. At Wednesday's market close, Tesla will release its third quarter earnings. However, when Alphabet reports on October 29 and Microsoft and Meta on October 30, Nvidia's price may move. Both Apple and Amazon have set October 31 as the date for their September quarter reports. On November 20, investors also expect Nvidia's fiscal third quarter results. Following a 54.2% year-over-year increase in Taiwan semiconductor profits, Nvidia's stock passed a trendline entry near 139.60 in early trading on Thursday. Apple and Nvidia both purchase AI chips from Taiwan Semi. However, after chip gear leader ASML let investors down with its outlook, shares dropped by over 5% on Tuesday. News that the company's shipments of sophisticated semiconductors would face additional limitations also caused shares to drop. There are currently sales limitations on Nvidia's AI chip shipments to 40 nations, and they might soon be extended to the Persian Gulf. Reports state that talks about new limits are still in their early stages. Nvidia is catching up to Apple in terms of market value thanks to its robust surge. It would then be the largest stock by market capitalization, a title that Apple currently owns. Compared to Apple's $3.55 trillion market capitalization, Nvidia's is approaching $3.52 trillion. After company executives announced last week that the Blackwell chips manufacture was going well and that it was sold out for the upcoming year, Nvidia's stock price increased. So what does this really mean for Nvidia's stock? Let's find out, but first, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Stock that Julian had mentioned, Nvidia hitting another all-time high today. The semi-stock jumping 4%, bringing its market cap above $3.5 trillion for the first time ever. It is now just $80 billion behind Apple. It last topped the iPhone maker back in July when it briefly became the biggest company in the world, but it just keeps powering higher, Guy.
Carter can opine on this in terms. So we had been mentioning June 20th, and actually that was right to mention it in the weeks or days after, because you saw what happened on August 5th. I mean, the stock went down almost 38%. Obviously, it's recouped the entire thing. And now with today's close, that June 20th engulfing pattern is out the window. Now it feels like it did back March, April, May, when it started this next leg higher. With all that said, you know, the stock has gotten itself more expensive. I think $3.5 trillion now-ish or thereabouts. They report on November 20th. So the question, I guess, is, are we in a new sort of trading range, and do we continue to move higher into earnings middle of November?
What do you think?
Here, too, the dispersion, half the stocks in the SOX index were down today, half were up, and, of course, leading the way, and that's Julian's point. A breakout is a breakout, right? So one would have to respect that, and in principle, NVIDIA has just now exceeded its high of about 5 months ago. The presumption is higher.
Are you kicking yourself, Grasso?
Yes. How's it feel? In one word, not so great. So this one didn't give me the chance to get back in. This is the problem with trading stocks. When you have an idea, you sort of fall in love with your premise and your chart and your levels. And I waited for my level. The level didn't happen. Got away from me. I'm still going to sit on my hands.
Well, I think if you to speak to some of Carter's comments on the divergence, bifurcation. I mean, look at AMD up 5% on the year and Nvidia up 227%. Yeah. And AMD was supposed to be a distant, but at least a second choice here in the AI trade. So they're not all created equal. I still think Taiwan Semi, if you can remove geopolitics around this.
Reports that Foxconn, the company that makes Apple iPhones, intends to expand server capacity in order to satisfy the crazy demand for Nvidia's Blackwell chips, also caused Nvidia's stock to rise. According to Foxconn chairman Young Liu, the business intends to have 20,000 GB200 NVL72 servers operational by 2025. The GB200 NVL72 server is a system that uses liquid cooling. To enhance inference tasks, it links 72 Blackwell graphics processing units and 36 central processing units. However, Nvidia is probably going to ship its latest AI chip later in the fourth quarter rather than earlier, which will cause a hiccup for Foxconn. News agencies claims that China was attempting to support domestic AI chip makers and advising local businesses to steer clear of Nvidia processors caused the stock to drop earlier. In the first half of the fiscal year that ended in January, 11% of Nvidia's sales came from China. The entire addressable market for AI technology and software is expected to rise by 40% to 55% over the next 3 years, according to a September report by consulting company Bain. In 2026, 3 million Nvidia GB200 graphics processing units are anticipated to be in demand, up from 1.5 million H100 units in 2023. The stock has been impacted by the outcomes of other prominent AI businesses. While Oracle Chairman and Chief Technology Officer Larry Ellison stated that his company is constructing a data center with acres of Nvidia GPU clusters for training big linguistic scale AI models, memory chip maker Micron claimed strong AI demand, which helped Nvidia's stock rise. But Nvidia was impacted by Broadcom's results. Although Broadcom's earnings and sales exceeded forecasts, the company's sales outlook was disappointing. The news that the Department of Justice was looking into antitrust laws and had issued subpoenas also put pressure on shares. Initially, the company received questionnaires from the DOJ. Even though Nvidia exceeded analyst projections, the stock dropped 6.4% following the company's August 28 earnings. Nvidia's August results beat Wall Street expectations. Sales of $30.04 billion came in 122% ahead of the same period last year and beyond analysts' expectations of $28.7 billion. At 68 cents per share, earnings also above projections of 65 cents. Compared to the previous year, that was 152% greater. With $32.5 billion in sales compared to $31.7 billion in views, the leader in artificial intelligence chips also provided greater guidance for the current quarter. The fact that Nvidia's stock changed in 2023 and 2024 due to earnings is clear evidence of why the investor's business daily approach places a strong emphasis on fundamental performance. Nvidia had an incredible 239% run in 2023. However, fundamentals are only one of four pillars of investing. The other three are risk management, market direction, and a stock's technical strength, which shows how well the stock performs in relation to other stocks. Data centers and AI applications benefit from the speedy computation provided by Nvidia's GPUs. The business was a pioneer in the development of graphics processors for use in robots, cars, and healthcare. With the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT in March 2023, generative AI advanced significantly. Huang claims that Nvidia's supercomputer with AI capabilities opened the door for the iPhone moment of AI. That assisted Nvidia in improving its performance. In late 2022 and early 2023, it recorded 4 quarters of shrinking profitability and 3 quarters of declining year-over-year sales. However, in the last 5 quarters, the company's top and bottom lines grew at historic rates. Investors can use technical indicators and chart indications to determine if Nvidia stock is a good investment right now. From the 50-day moving average, Nvidia is extended. However, the stock cleared a purchase target of 140.76 and reached an all-time high. Thus, Nvidia is a good investment.